ओके 20 सेकंड्स बाद होगा ना. थैंक यू. Hello and welcome to this new session, another session in the chapters of Yandut program. A really well thought after initiative of the Department of College Education, Rajasthan, and which aims at extending thematic online live classes onto the students of undergraduate and postgraduate classes. इस ज्ञानदूत का उद्देश्य ज्ञान से सेवा की ओर है और जो भली भांति पूर्ति जिसकी की जा रही है by allowing the teachers to come face to face and deliver classes in this session of real distancing. So the minds are coming closer in this wonderful program, the Gyandut program devised by College Education. I am Dr. Manju Sharma, Associate Professor in English. And today I am going to talk to you about the great critic, Aristotle. What is wonderful about Aristotle is that he is not actually a person from literature. He was a political thinker, a political guru of the greatest seat of learning, Greece, of the ancient classical times. Aristotle just ventured out and made an analysis of the circumstances. And these analysis of the circumstances which he made were documented by his students to be handed over to the generations that succeed him. एक पीढ़ी के लिए, आने वाली पीढ़ियों के लिए छात्रों ने, अरिस्टोटल के छात्रों ने जो डॉक्यूमेंटेशन किया, हम सब भी आप सबसे वही अपेक्षा करते हैं. तो समझते हैं the personality of Aristotle in English literature. He is the father of criticism. Born in the year 384 BC and died in 322 BC. This man of eternal impact gave his understanding of criticism, which actually is, if I define criticism, it is a natural reaction with an insight. We are mistaken to believe that criticism is the product of creation. कोई कुछ लिखता है, उसके ऊपर हम जो प्रतिक्रियाएं देते हैं, वो क्रिटिसिज्म होती है. No, that is not so. Criticism excites and prompts creation. क्रिटिसिज्म का काम होता है, वह प्रेरित करता है हमको कुछ क्रिएट करने के लिए. And then it adds dimension to the creation. So creation is the text. How does the text come into occurrence? How does any piece of literature come over to our hands? This is the process of creation, and criticism is like this, that someone makes an observation of nature. Someone makes an observation of nature, which is in fact a critical approach. He looks at things with an insight which not others, not the ones who are poets, can do. So his observation of nature gives rise to a reaction. And this reaction, when it is recorded, it comes in the form of a created text. So किसी भी चीज की रचना का आधार क्रिटिसिज्म है. After the text is created, someone else like us makes an observation of the text. And from this observation of the text, the same insight comes into his mind, a natural reaction with an insight. Those who are able to give to it an insight of their own, they make a reaction again And this, in fact, results in the creation of text. So what then is the specific position of Aristotle in the history of criticism? It is that he specifies human development is at its best when one is making a criticism. जब आप समालोचना करते हैं तो ये अवश्यंभावी और आवश्यक हो जाता है कि आप विकसित हैं, आपका मानवीय विकास अपनी श्रेष्ठता के स्तर पर है। आप जो लिखते हैं उसी को हम डॉक्यूमेंट करेंगे as criticism. Now, Aristotle is a critic. We are going to understand how did this political thinker emerge on the scene of literature and came to be tabulated and understood and formulated and coined as the father of criticism. This because he made an observation of what existed in his times. Aristotle's teacher was Plato. Plato was an idealist, and he condemned a piece of literature which was a very prominent piece of literature and which was written by Sophocles and is entitled Oedipus the King, Oedipus Tyrannus or Oedipus Rex. Oedipus, which means sore foot, जख्मी पांव वाला एक बच्चा, वो पैदा नहीं हुआ था जख्मी. He was born to a family of Laius and Jocasta. First, I'll tell you what actually is the story which prompted Aristotle to move into the realm of English literature. The story goes like this, that this Oedipus, the central character, the protagonist, central character of Oedipus Tyrannus, is in fact, when he is born, a prophecy is made that he will kill his father in times to come and marry his own mother. Now, naturally, no one would take this thought as easy. So the father was bewildered, but he couldn't go beyond the destiny. So what only he could do was, he called the prosecutioners and said, take this child away and put him to death and bring to me a testimony of his death. The executioners carried the child away, and they did not have a heart to kill the child who smiled back at them. No one would kill a newborn babe, and so they couldn't. And they dipped their spears into the blood of an animal, brought the testimony to the king and said that he's dead, but Oedipus survived. Life will go on to receive more reactions. He's lifted by shepherds and handed over to a king of another territory, where again his destiny is chasing him. He's told that when he grows up a little bit, he's told that he will kill his father and marry his mother. To avoid this perverse condition, he just flees from the place. And in an effort to do good to the hapless shepherds, he just tried to take away the sword lying at the side of an old man. This old man was his father, Laius, who had moved out from his kingdom because no children were born to him. Sick with his own life, he was lying at a crossroads where, in an effort of Oedipus trying to take away this sword from his side, he unwittingly killed him. Sorry to do what he has done. He wanted to put an end to his own life when his shadow was cast into a valley where the people came cheering and greeting him as their savior. They said that there was a monster, phoenix, coming and asking them a question. And because people were unable to answer, they killed him. And there was a man, Tiresias, the seer, who had told him that whoever's reflection is cast in the valley in the morning will be your redeemer. So he said, okay, already I have killed someone. And in lieu of that, to compensate for that unduly done wrong, let me give my life to someone, for someone who I can save by offering my life. And this happened He just went there and answered the tricky question asked by Phoenix that has baffled mankind since ancient times. And the question was, who is it that moves on 4 feet in the morning, 2 feet in the noon, and 3 feet in the evening? Oedipus was a wise man, better than all others present there, and retorted that it was man. Morning is his childhood, and he walks on 4. Youth is his noon where he walks on 2, and old age is the evening where he's obliged to seek support of a stick and move. But this, Plato said, no, when this happened, he was not only was Oedipus given the kingdom of his father, but he was also given the wife of his father as his own wife. And assuming duties that a king should, he took an aged woman for his wife, which not an ordinary man would do. He is better than average. But as soon as the marriage gets solemnized, a kind of plague starts spreading in his country, and he doesn't know what to do. So Tiresias is once again called for, and Tiresias says, after much of persuasion, he reveals the truth that it was Oedipus because he had married his mother. Oedipus could not reconcile to the idea. He knew that he belonged to other parents, and he said, no, it is not so. But ultimately, he is brought home to the truth that his parents were these, where he came to settle down as a king, as a son, and also as a husband. So he blinds himself. Distraught with having cast evil looks upon his mother, he blinds himself. And with blood oozing out afresh from the blinded eyes, he washes his kingdom. Plato did not like the idea of this story being written down in a play form by Sophocles. He says that it is an imitation, which does not say what is. It does not reveal the reality. It is not an ideal writing because it does not reveal what is. But it was here that Aristotle came on scene, took the challenge of laying down the greatest principle of imitation, the theory of mimesis. He said that writing down poetry is not a servile act, because if one writes down what is, this is the task of history. A poet is the word poet in Greek language means maker, the creator. So a poet is a creator. His task is not to write down what is. His task is to write down what should be. Because the original Oedipus only killed himself. And Sophocles made it like this, that he would blind himself every day. He would shed blood from his blinded eyes every day. So this is literature. साहित्य वो है जो है, उसको लिख दिया गया, अगर जैसा था वैसा लिख दिया गया तो वो इतिहास होगा. तो इतिहास से साहित्य को कैसे भिन्नता मिलती है? क्योंकि इतिहास लिखता है क्या है, जबकि साहित्य लिखता है क्या होना चाहिए. हम लोगों के हृदय में वो दो भव्य भावनाएं, पिटी एंड फियर, तभी इवोक होंगी जब पोएट उस कहानी को डिस्टॉर्ट करके लिखेगा कि क्या होना चाहिए. और इस पर मैं आपको लास्ट में जो लिखा है वर्ड क्रिएटिविटी, अरिस्टोटल की जो हमको वरदान है, जो उन्होंने कहा है कि पोएट इज एंडाउड विद द ग्रेटेस्ट गिफ्ट, एंड दैट इज द गिफ्ट ऑफ क्रिएटिविटी. ही क्रिएट्स, he doesn't take things as they are. So now, what are the various kinds of creative acts? What are the various kinds of creative writings? Aristotle, in the lectures that he delivered to his students, mentioned the three major kinds of creative writings, the first being tragedy. Tragedy is something which is a play that depicts men who are better than average. आम लोगों से बहुत बेहतर होते हैं, जैसे एडिपस था, उसका हर काम लोगों के लिए भला करने के लिए था। गलती से भी माँ पिता की हत्या नहीं हो जाए, गलती से भी माँ से शादी नहीं हो जाए, भाग गए, लोगों की जान बचाई, उनकी जान निरंतर बचाने रहने के लिए राजा बन गए, और जान के कि वो अपनी माँ से विवाह कर बैठा है, he blinded himself, better than average. And only these people who are better than average are able to evoke in us the two essential feelings of pity and fear. The second kind of creative writing is comedy. Comedy is that kind of play in which depiction of men who are worse than average is done. हम देखते हैं कि उनके पास में कम समझ होती है. To talk about Shakespeare, who has written down the maximum number of comedies, and the underlying current in all his comedies is falling in love at first sight. They are so frenzied people. They are people with such less understanding that no sooner have they cast a look upon someone would they want to marry and are head over heels in love with someone. We can see the folly of these people, but to make people understand that there are such kind of people also on earth, creative writings are done. And the third kind of creative writing is epic. Epic, which does not deal with better than average or worse than average. In fact, it has a confrontation between the completely virtuous and the completely vicious people. एक तरफ में सर्वोत्तम तरह के लोग हैं जो कि अति मानव हैं, और दूसरी तरफ वो लोग हैं जो निम्न मानव हैं. तो अरिस्टोटल ने क्या किया, अपनी पोएटिक्स जो उन्होंने बुक लिखी है, उन्होंने बुक लिखी नहीं थी, इनको कॉम्पिटिशन के 26 चैप्टर्स को करके जो बुक हमारे सामने आई है, दैट इज कॉल्ड पोएटिक्स. तो उस पोएटिक्स की महत्ता क्या है, अरिस्टोटल की महत्ता क्या है, उन्होंने रिवील किया है और इंक्लूजन रखा है ऑफ मेन ऑफ ऑल काइंड्स. साहित्य में आपको हम सब तरह के लोग मिल जाएंगे, वे जिनको हम प्यार करते हैं, वे जिनको देखकर हमको थोड़ी हंसी आती है, और वो जो समाज में कभी ना कभी एग्जिस्ट करने चाहिए, extremely virtuous and extremely vicious. So the credit of Aristotle is that he makes a revelation and inclusion of men of all kinds in his poetics. Now a man will be a man only if he acts. So action is at the pivot, and of the 26 chapters, a large number of chapters are attributed to the majorist kind of writing, which is tragedy. Tragedy क्या होती है, उसमें एक्शन क्या होता है, उसका प्लॉट क्या होता है. प्लॉट का मतलब एक्शन. कैसे हम उन घटनाओं को एक तरीके से समावेश करेंगे कि वो फीलिंग आएगी पिटी और फियर की, कि वो बेटर देन एवरेज वाला मैन, ही विल कमिट एन एरर. He will do something. The error will be done because of a weakness at a certain point of time, a weakness which he cannot control upon, and which in Greek term is called hamartia. ये commitment of error इतना high magnitude का होता है, it is of such magnitude the reversal of which is not possible. It is like lifting the floodgates of a dam, whereon if some water has oozed out, by no measures can that be brought back. So an action of a magnitude, of an intensity, of a universal appeal, which if committed is going to bring some kind of sadness. So naturally from this commitment of error will there come a realization. He will at a point of time either realize and discover his mistake, or there will be a reversal in his fortunes. Or there will be a reversal in his fortunes, and then would there be a realization of his errors, which realization in Greek terms is called anagnorisis. Reversal is called peripety. But this man is so good that after having realized the horrors of his doing, of his action, he would go on to seek a purification. And this purification will only come with his death. So when he dies, the Greek term for the death, the point of action in tragedy is catharsis, which can be spelled as Katharsis or Catharsis. तो उसका प्योरिफिकेशन हो जाएगा, हम समझ जाएंगे कि अब ये हमको नहीं करना है. And then will come to exist a poetic justice that even if the man was better than average, he cannot be allowed to do an error. यहाँ पर एरिस्टोटल की क्या महत्ता है? Aristotle has formulated for us the great principle of inevitability of result. Whatever we do, the result will naturally follow, and we will have to bear the consequences of the action. Who will do the action? The action will be done by the character. And Aristotle says that there are two meanings of character. One is the dramatic personage, the person who acts on the stage like who will play the role of that particular person. But the second, which is the most important meaning of character, is bent of mind. And it is because of this bent of mind that Aristotle says that there can be a tragedy without character, but there can be none without a plot. So what are the essentials that a character, to be a character and protagonist in tragedy, must possess? The first, he must be good. By good we mean that not purely virtuous, because if a purely virtuous man will come to a sad end, we will learn the thing that there is no sense in being good. So he will be good means he would be better than average. And having an innate goodness which sets him high among his peers, among all the people, his contemporaries and all the persons in the play, and also among all of us, he would be essentially good. The character also must be appropriate. Now, what is appropriate? Appropriate means he must act in accordance to his age, to his status, and his sex. I'll give a small example that a person who acts according to the age, take the example of King Lear. He is at 80 years of age, and in a fit of fury, a maddened man, maddened not only by age but also by his great love for Cordelia, deprives her from the rightful share in his kingdom. That is appropriateness. We can expect a man of 80 to do that. Second is his status. Othello is a black. He has forever seen an apartheid inflicted onto him by the whites. So if he kills Desdemona in a fit of fury, he is appropriate. And sex is Antigone, the daughter of Oedipus, who cannot cover the body of her brother because she is just 11 years of age. So she tries to cover the body of her brother with her place paid. This is appropriateness. Acting in accordance with the age, status, and sex. The third essential for a character is he must be lifelike. What is lifelike? Possessed of strengths and weaknesses, as we all are. We all have certain strengths and we all have weaknesses. If we act upon the strength, we would be members maybe of an epic. But if we act upon a weakness, we will be fit characters for a tragedy. Character must be consistent, which is the last thing. So what is consistent? That he would not waver from the course of action. Not that if he has committed an error, would he fall upon the feet of his mother and ask apology. He would be strong enough to take the consequences of the action. So Aristotle ने क्या किया है? Immensity of possibilities in man. He has written about the immense possibilities which a man can have. A man can have the possibility of goodness. He can have the possibility of appropriateness. He will be lifelike and he will be consistent. Now, the last point in the action I said was purification. So what is purification? Purification is pity. We are all purged of that feeling. We are all cleansed of the feeling. When the character in a tragedy dies, we at once are filled with pity. Why pity? We go close to him, we empathize with him, and we say, had it not been for this one action, this one erroneous action, he would have been a great man. हमारे में सहज रूप से वो प्रथम मानवीय गुण आता है, दया। कितना आवश्यक है कि मनुष्य दयावान हो, वो दूसरे के साथ सहानुभूति अनुभूत कर सके। The second quality, that the second emotion that comes to surface with the end of the protagonist is fear. हम जब छोटे थे तो हमें भगवान की कल्पना सुनाई गई थी, हमें किसी न किसी ने कहानी सुनाई थी भगवान की, किसी ने नहीं देखा उन्हें, फिर भी हम भगवान को समझते हैं। एक डर व्याप्त रहता है। भगवान की कल्पना हमें इसलिए दी जाती है हम गलत काम करने से विड्रॉ करें। So when the protagonist, the central character of a tragedy dies, we are filled with fear that he was such a good man, and despite his goodness, he met with this disastrous, this catastrophic end. What will be my fate? I am an ordinary person. इससे उन्होंने क्या सिखाया? यही ऑब्जेक्शन था जो प्लेटो ने रखा था कि ट्रेजेडी लोगों में पिटी एंड फियर इवोक करती है और उन्हें वीक करती है, लेकिन एक्चुअली वो उनको वीक नहीं बनाती है। जिसके हृदय में दया है और जिसके हृदय में भय है वो बहुत स्ट्रांग होता है। इट टेक्स अ बिग हार्ट टू बी फिल्ड विद पिटी, टू बी फिल्ड विद फियर एट आवर wrongdoings. So what did Aristotle teach? He taught the concept of mellowing mankind. मनुष्य के विकास की गाथा लिखी। हम निरंतर बेहतर हो सकते हैं अगर हम अपने में भी, हमारे में जो है दो गुण, पिटी एंड फियर, इनका हमेशा ध्यान रखें। पिटी गलत सफर करते हुए लोगों के प्रति, फियर अपने प्रति कि हम ये काम कभी ना कर दें। And to round it up all, the lecture on Aristotle, and to establish to you the greatness of Aristotle, the father of English criticism, is that he spoke about the human development at its best. मनुष्य क्रिटिसिज्म वही करे जिसका ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट हो गया है और बेस्ट जगह पर हो गया। See others with a developed heart. See others with the best mindset. Create. People of literature have to create. They cannot take a servile thing, story, and write it down as it is. No, they have to write down how it should be. Literature must have revelations and inclusions of men of all kind. सभी साहित्य में सभी तरह के लोगों का समावेश होना चाहिए। हम सब इस सृष्टि में हैं, हम सभी का समावेश है। ऐसा एरिस्टोटल ने जगह दी अपनी पोएटिक्स में। उन्होंने फिर कहा there is inevitability of results, so as you do so shall you reap. He said it, and that he said still we have immense possibilities because we are man, the best creation of God on earth, and we can constantly mellow further. And that is all for today. Thank you for watching. I would just make a small appeal on behalf of the Department of College Education of the Government of Rajasthan that you all kindly come together just for half an hour, which this department has so thoughtfully devised for you. It has been devised that people of varying intelligence, varying categories, varying possibilities may come together on a platform, have a confrontation with each other. Not that we are teaching. We learn with every moment. We learn with you. We learn to see. When you write down comments, from your comments, we correct ourselves. So you are requested to kindly write down your comments, which we will take up on 27th of June, which is the day of problem solving. And please, आप सभी से निवेदन है कि उच्च शिक्षा मंत्रालय और उच्च शिक्षा विभाग राजस्थान के उसके बिहाफ पर मैं आप सबसे निवेदन करती हूँ कि इस उच्च कोटि के प्रयास को प्लीज लाइक करें, शेयर करें, सब्सक्राइब करें, और वे जो घर पर इंटरनेट का शायद केवल आनंद के लिए उपयोग कर रहे हैं, वे परमानंद के लिए भी उपयोग करना चाहें, क्योंकि शिक्षा ही हमें विभूषित करती है। So with this I end. Thank you all for being the viewers. Thank you extremely.